Hey, how are you guys doing? Another episode. Um, I think this week I'm gonna show you how I think in colors. But it's just a little bit of a meandering as I carry a couple of very small palettes with me. For example, my palette looks something like this. Um, this is one with about 24 colors. I'll show you in a photograph. And then this one, this little thing has about 15 colors. And again, I'll show you how I pick my colors. And, if I were to have a selection of 12 colors, what would that be? By the way, I think I'm going to start a little sketchbook using my old copy. It's a new one, actually, and I haven't opened it. It's, I don't know, maybe 10 years. 10 years old, a little bit. Yeah, good paper, so it doesn't really have a problem. Perfect sketchbook, you know, thanks to Erwin or Mr. Lian. I'm going to use this to kind of collect, my thinking around colors. So if you would, want to know something about colors, I'm happy for you to drop a comments below, and then I'll try to answer it in some future videos or maybe even in my new book that I want to write about colors. I've written a couple of books. The first one is this one, The Seven Elements of Urban Sketching, and then The Joy of Loose. And I've been wanting to write two more books. One is The Basic Foundation for Watercolor, which I want to use when I run workshops, and the other one is when I, talk about colors. I want to have a book ready to illustrate with it as well, use it to as a teaching aid. So I'm going to use this to then capture all my thoughts, and maybe I'll show you a couple of ideas about colors as I demonstrate how I put my palettes together. All right, let's go. So this is going to be some of the palettes I'm preparing. In case some of my students who want it, I'll sell them the setup. It's easier to teach when I'm using the same color as my students. So this is a 12 color palette, mostly Daniel Smith, but not all of them because I couldn't get Cobalt, for example. For some reason, the artist quality colors in Singapore was out of stock. So I had to buy Rembrandt. It's still artist quality. I mean, it's still expensive, but anyway. And each tube costs about anything from $10 to about 16, some even $20, depending on the size of the tube. So in this case, the Rembrandt, I think it costs about $16. I think. Anyway, the colors are this one is not. I guess there's just a lot of gum arabic that has formed at the tip of the tube. So what you normally do is you kind of press it out and avoid putting that into your palette. Anyway, the colors are lemon yellow, new gambosh, and then it's queen gold, queen quinacridone, burnt orange, permanent rose, or queen quinacridone rose, and permanent alizarin crimson, uh, carbozel violet or Windsor dioxin, I think that's what it's called, and lunar black, cobalt, French ultramarine, green gold, and phthalo green blue shades. All right, so anyway, coming to the end of the tube, and I'm just gonna squeeze it in with a plier. Give me all it's got basically, and no wastage. In the era of sustainability, I think this is good practice just to have all the stuff that's in the tube come out. This is a very small tube and it's a very old tube, so I guess just gotta make sure that I have all of it squeezed out. Anyway, I got a new tube ready, and I'll fill the rest of the half the pants with my new tube that I've got from Straits, which I went this afternoon. I did catch up with Clara and Eric, those of you who know the owner of Straits Art in Bugis. And anyway, yeah, so that's new Gambosh. I kind of ran out of it when I was preparing those palettes. I'm preparing about 10 of these, and in my Penang trip, I'm hoping that if anybody the students, I think I have 12 of them, that needs to have colors, they can get this from me, and then therefore they will be the same colors as I used. So I'm going to start with hues or colors, right? As we know it. I mean, most people think of colors just basically by one characteristics, and that's just hue. And the most, I guess the colors I use, and I'll introduce the colors one by one. It's a very cool, sort of light, transparent yellow, lemon yellow or Windsor yellow. I used to use a color called aureolin, and then I discovered it is actually not light fast. In other words, it fades with lots of light. So I got rid of it and I started using lemon yellow from Daniel Smith. Or when I have some tubes of Windsor lemon, that works as well. The next color is New Gamboge. That is pretty much standard across most brands. New Gamboge is a warmer uh, yellow. It's still in the yellow family. It looks orangey, but actually it's kind of like still in the yellow family. So I use it as a warm yellow. And then the next color is uh, permanent rose or quinacridone rose. I don't really care whichever, as long as it's artist quality. I've used both. They sort of work the same for me. It's sort of middle of the center of sort of slightly cool sort of red. And then the next color is also a cool red. It's the permanent alizarin crimson. I use my red pretty much for its values, not so much for the cool warm side of the shades. Although in some cases the permanent rose is a little bit more warmer, but not by much. If I want it warm, I'll just add a bit of new gamboge and make it a little bit more orangey. And then I have Carbozel Violet, or sometimes I use a tube of Windsor Dioxin, I think it's called. And then the next two is Cobalt and French Ultramarine, my go-to for my blues. Cobalt is dead center when it comes to value, and it's also somewhat center in terms of cool and warm. French Ultramarine is a bit on the warm side. It has a bit of a reddish tint in it, so that's French Ultramarine. The Ultramarine version is more pure dead center, I would say, without cool or warm. And then green gold for a light version of green, and then I would use the phthalo green blue shades for my darker version of green. So again, my green works pretty much like my red. I use it for its value, light and dark green, or at least that's how I think about it. But even that, I would have the green gold, which is a bit more yellowy, and then the phthalo green blue shades a little bit more bluey. There's actually a yellow shade version of the phthalo green, but I would suggest if you use a yellowy version in your palette, then the other green ought to be the other side of warm and cool. So if we keep going, quinacridone gold is the dirty yellow, if you like, or brown light version, and then for a darker version, which is closer to orange, is quinacridone burnt orange. These two are Daniel Smith's. They are my staple for dirty yellow, if you like, and it's clean, transparent, very beautiful color, granulates very nicely as well, especially the quinacridone burnt orange. So you could see that the basic color palette that I have is kind of form. It's quite standard. These are the transparent so far. Now for the non-transparent, I have cadmium yellow and cadmium orange. Those two are my non transparent or opaque version of my colors. I normally put them aside in terms of where I place the palette so that I don't confuse the color with the opacity. And then the next one is cadmium scarlet, and the bottom one is Opera from Holbein. I keep it because although it's slightly known as light fast, I have many tubes of that lying around, so I continue to use that color. I don't recommend it though. I mean, but I love the hue. It's very hot pink, basically. The next color is Naples yellow. I use this for skin tone, mixing it with quinacridone rose or maybe even quinacridone burnt orange will give me the different skin tone that I need, from light to the sort of darker version of skin, in that sense. And then finally, my black, lunar black. This is a beautifully granulating black. I love this color to death, and I use it a lot. The other black that I use quite a bit is neutral tint. And if I have a 24 color palette, neutral tint and lunar black will both go into it. But if I only have the choice for one black, then lunar black would be my go-to choice. So just briefly recap, you can have a palette with 12 colors. I would suggest those are transparent colors. If you have 12, and then you can have 15, you can add some cadmium to it, and then maybe one black. And if you have 24, then you have a little bit more luxurious choices. You could have your cadmium, you can have your various reds, you can have more purples, and maybe an extra green as well. Viridian would be my choice if you have 24. If I have three greens, it'll be green gold, phthalo green, blue shades, and Viridian. Viridian is a very highly mixable. You can use it to mix really, really well. So sometimes you choose colors because they are easy to mix and they are choices to mix. Viridian is the example that comes to mind. By the way, I will also put a link to my playlist on colors. I've done a lot of videos in the past on colors. I haven't done one for, I guess, maybe a couple of years or maybe even longer. I'm not sure, but I'm going to come back to it because colors is one of my, the reason why I got into painting and sketching was because of colors. Remember that color gets all the glory when value does all the work. We know that, right? But anyway, it's glorious to play with color, and I love it. Okay, so let's do a recap on what are the characteristics of colors, right? Number one, of course, is hues or color itself, meaning the yellow, the blue, the green, the purple, whatever shades that you like. The second most important thing I think for artists would be light fastness, or how lasting are the color when exposed to the light. And I think this is very important because colors that are not light fast, you should actually get rid of it and don't use it. And then the third most important thing in my book is transparency or opacity. And this is to show how transparent the color is. It's like when you put it in water, it's like tea when it's not milkish, right? And then the next one is staining. Most people don't really understand what staining is for, but staining is extremely important. Most staining colors are transparent, but the most important characteristic of staining is that they are the darkest dark, and these are staining colors. The next one is granulations. Granulations is the pigmentation or the pull together of sort of dots, if you like. It gives you a very beautiful sort of outlook or texture. Tinting, how are you able to use the color for tinting and just to overlay with other colors underneath it. And then the next one is flow. When you put a color onto water, or we put water onto the color, that is, does it explode? Does it flow nicely? The final one is the mixing, second last, mixing characteristics. Some colors mix really, really well. Some colors don't. That's an important characteristic. Finally, re-wetting. Some colors can't be re-wet well, but most of Daniel Smith, and that's one reason why I like Daniel Smith, is because it re-wet very, very easily. So there you go. What I think are the most important characteristics of colors, and I'm hoping to write a book about colors to help beginners with an understanding, a working understanding, a practical understanding of colors. And even if you don't know all the properties, that's okay. The most important is that you buy artist quality, or at least as best you could afford, because colors makes a huge difference to the outcome of your sketches. So this is We Take Out for this week. I hope you take care of yourself. And yeah, see you the next one. Bye.